If you've ever looked into game development, there's a good chance you've heard of a game jam. A game jam is an event where developers create a game within a limited amount of time, usually based on a specific theme. They're a great way to improve your game development skills, which is exactly why I decided to enter one for my very first game. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you how the game jam went. I wanted to find a game jam with a short time limit because I knew that if I had too much time, my perfectionism would probably stop me from actually finishing anything. So after looking through a few upcoming jams, I decided to join the Aristos Interactive Jam. Some game jams restrict which engines you can use, but this one allowed any engine, and that worked perfectly for me because I wanted to use Godot. After doing some research, it seemed like Godot was one of the best engines for beginners. Another reason I picked this jam was its length. It ran from 4 p.m. on a Friday until 4 p.m. on the next Monday, giving me 3 days to build my game. I already had some experience with Python, so learning GDScript and getting used to Godot wasn't too difficult. I spent the 2 hours before the jam started familiarizing myself with the engine, and I found that Godot's node system is surprisingly straightforward. Once the jam was officially begun, the theme was revealed: Wilderness. Immediately, my first idea was to make a procedurally generated survival game, but I quickly realized that was too far beyond my skill level and way too ambitious for a 3-day project. So I scrapped that idea and came up with something much more manageable. To be honest, I didn't really want to build my gameplay around the wilderness theme. Instead, I just focused on making simple graphics that at least looked like they kind of belonged in a wilderness setting. After creating a few assets, I opened a new project and immediately realized I had no idea what I was doing. I spent the rest of the evening watching YouTube tutorials, then I went to bed with a blank project and a handful of low-quality assets. Saturday, however, was when the real development started. I got up early, created the player's movement, and built the first level. Then, I watched some more tutorials to learn how menus and scene switching worked. Once I understood that, I made a title screen, a level select menu, and a credits screen. By the end of the day, I had one completed level and the basic structure of the game finished, so I called it a night. On Sunday, I started by adding music and a volume slider. After that, I finished the graphics for the menus and the other scenes. At that point, the game was fully playable, but it only had one level. To give players a little more content, I created 2 additional levels. Once I was happy with everything, I published the game with 1 day and 1 hour remaining before the deadline. Since the game was already finished, I didn't spend Monday working on it. Instead, I just started editing this video while waiting for the game jam to actually end. One thing I forgot to mention earlier is that this is the 5th game jam that's hosted by Aristos Interactive, and for their previous jams, they've uploaded YouTube videos where they've played through the submitted games. So if you want to see my game from their perspective, you can check out their video on Aristos Interactive YouTube channel, or you can watch my video covering the game. Bye.